probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things just because we want to have a good time. You know, whenever you bring up a different element into people's environment, things that broaden people's horizon, people get intimidated.
Are they really allegations? Didn't people warn us about Sean Diddy Combs ages ago? Well, now it's all coming full circle. While Diddy's legal team desperately tried bailing him out, the victims just kept on piling up, almost guaranteeing that even all his money wouldn't save him.
It just goes on and on, you know, it's just like people from all walks of life connecting and getting together. Yeah.
Your parties are the hottest ticket in town. People dying to get into your party.
All of us, maybe except the ones living under a rock, know now that Diddy is a monster. The indictment, unsealed the day after his arrest, alleges that from 1991 to the present, Combs abused, threatened, and blackmailed women and others and led a racketeering conspiracy that engaged in sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice, among some other offenses. But just what is all these other offenses, you might be asking? Well, bear with me. So we got grooming a minor, filming without consent, being sexually involved with a minor, murdering Tupac and Biggie, along with God knows how many other people. As of what is the confirmed number of victims, well, just listen to what Houston attorney Tony Busby had to say regarding this case.
The victims are from more than 25 states. The majority are from California, New York, Georgia, and Florida. I want to focus on the ages of these victims. When you talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred, it's shocking.
The sheer amount of people who are allegedly abused by this man is chilling. Since there were too many people reaching out to him, Busby's team took on 120 victims, equally spread them out between males and females, 60 men and 60 women, all of whom have been violated by Diddles. Now this is when things take a little bit of a turn, which is making it all even worse. So, people like Ali Carter have been speaking out for years about these antics, but these celebrities got a lot more power than y'all might think. And even among them, Diddy stood out as someone that you don't want to mess with. As somebody who can greatly endanger your life and the lives of your family and your friends. When this guy got arrested, people started getting the courage to step forward. In fact, there were so many people that not all of them could even be represented. Now keep in mind too that a lot of people don't want to come forward because it could ruin a reputation. Now this is the case mostly for celebrities, especially those who seemingly value their reputation and money more than their own lives. Now a lot of people have been linked up with this case, most notably Jay-Z and Cuba Gooding Jr. and Usher. But that's a story for another time, since now we're dealing with Diddy and his demonic practices. This was, let's just say, Diddy's specialty. Like, this dude would drug you, and if you was a sex worker, then you would be in for one hell of a horror show. If you was a celebrity, then you'd be getting swarmed by men and women and taken upstairs to the rooms. Now keep in mind that all these rooms would have multiple cameras set up. Now Diddy would then allegedly take these recordings and use them not only to blackmail and for racketeering, but also for his own pleasure. Some news organizations reported that the tapes found in the vault during the raid on his mansion were covered in what seemed like semen. But what could you give to someone to literally make him do all this, all while knowing that Diddy is a weird and creepy guy who's got like a million cameras in his house? Well, Mr. Busby had an answer for that too. So apart from pink cocaine and all sorts of hallucinogenic and party drugs, Diddy was allegedly giving horse tranquilizers to his victims. Yeah, basically rendering them useless and making them motionless sleeves. Now look, this gives the term roofied a completely different definition. Now all these people didn't just contact the Houston attorney just to let him know about their experiences with Diddy. Almost all of them had some kind of evidence which directly proves that what they were saying is the truth. So with all this in mind, it's pretty safe to say that Diddy ain't gonna be walking the streets as a free man ever again. If he does, it would literally make the whole world turn around. Let's just remind ourselves of what this dude has been charged with so far. When he was arrested on the 16th of September 2024, he was charged in a 3-court indictment with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. To be more precise, the Manhattan Federal Court charged him with 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, which carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. 1 count of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, which carries a maximum sentence of life in prison and a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years in prison. Oh, and 1 count of transportation for purpose of prostitution, which carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. So on top of all that, take into consideration that this is just a start, and now it's time for the victims to get their justice as well, as Tony Busby stated in his press conference.
Or occurred in California, primarily in Los Angeles, or in Florida, primarily in Miami. Most of these events and incidents occurred at parties, typically after parties, or album release parties, New Year's Eve parties, 4th of July parties, something they called a puppy party, the all-white party, although several of these events occurred at auditions.
So let's talk a little bit about these Diddy parties. Now that is the after parties, aka them freak-offs. Okay, so the freak-off parties was allegedly elaborate sexual performances that Combs arranged, in which were often recorded on video cameras. He reportedly forced the participants using violence and intimidation, which he gained by procuring and selling narcotics to him, leveraging the financial support that he gave them and threatening then to cut him off. The other leverage was usually the embarrassing and sensitive recordings that he made at all these freak-offs, and then he kept them all in case these participants didn't want to comply with any of his requests or his future demands. Now, during all these crazy parties, Sean Diddy Combs would also allegedly physically abuse the victims and even strike them without fail. This caused a lot of heat, a lot of stress, a lot of drama, especially when you consider how young some of these people was, like Biebs back in the day, or even Usher when he was a kid. And then you got celebrities like Jaguar Wright, who's trying to come forward, saying that Jay-Z and Beyonce saw all that multiple times, and that their court appearances was definitely going to be inevitable in this particular case. Besides the parties, Diddy used his position as a music mogul and businessman as well, and that don't come as too much of a surprise. There's supposedly even evidence that indicates this crime too. Busby mentioned an incident involving one of the accusers who alleged that Diddy promised to make him a star. Now this person, who was also a minor at the time, claimed that Diddy suggested they should meet privately about it away from his parents. Once they was in a private area, allegedly Mr. Combs made the victim perform oral sex on her. With all the evidence and the army of people that came forward after his arrest, it's pretty safe to say that Sean Diddy Combs might not just ruin his life, but the lives of his family too. The empire built on greed and lust is sure to fall, and even he's eventually found guilty, but I would transfer all of his assets to the state. Everything he gained would be considered as the rotten fruits of his criminal organization. Diddy's legal team is desperately trying to find ways to clear his name, saying that he came to New York on his own knowing that he would be arrested, indicating that he's looking to cooperate since he did nothing wrong. ABC News might have shown us the last time Sean Diddy Combs walked on this earth without being detained or supervised. Now hopefully for us all and for our future as well, that's going to be the case. I gotta ask, is there any universe in which Combs doesn't rot in a jail cell? Let us know what you think in the comments below.